So you're thinking about moving to Trenton, Ontario. Well, there's a few things you should know first. Hi, my name is Jeremy Tremblay. I'm a realtor that works here in the Belleville, Trenton, and surrounding areas. If you have any questions following this video, definitely reach out. My information is down below. Send me an email, a text, give me a call. I'd love to hear from you. I have people all the time that are considering relocating. I hope that you get a lot out of this video, but if you have more questions, definitely reach out. And I've made many other videos that talk about this area. You can check those out. Also, be sure to subscribe and hit the little like. Let's get to it. So we're gonna go through a list of things that I think are relevant that people from outside the area would like to know while they're considering relocating to this area. Now, you may have come from a previous video that I did in 2023. This is a 2024 update. Specifically, there was a smell that was in the Trenton area. Things have changed. I'm gonna give an update on that towards the end of this video. So the first thing that I think everyone needs to be aware of is that there are a lot of planes. Within Trenton, we have CFB Trenton. That's Canadian Force Base Trenton. It has been here for many, many years. And some people are still surprised when they come. It is the largest Air Force base in all of Canada. So there is a fair amount of air traffic in and out. If you look at the city, it is divided by a river, and then to the east, far east of the city of Trenton is where you have CFB Trenton. And so if you're over in that area, you will often see planes landing, taking off, and then flying around the city. Whenever you go to close on a house within Trenton specifically, oftentimes when you're sitting with the lawyer, they will say, are you aware that you are in a flight path? And it's because pretty much the entire city is in that flight path. It's just what comes with being in a military type of town and area. So I always like to joke with people, you can tell who's a local and who's not, because when there is a big gray plane flying overhead, locals just keep on walking, where anyone that's new, well, they tend to look up wondering what's going on. More specifically, if you're over at the grocery store, over like a Canadian Tire, sometimes it's coming into land right there and it looks like it's actually gonna hit you in the parking lot. And that can be a little startling if you're new to the area. But as a whole, people ask me, how bad are the planes? You get used to it. I personally live in the Trenton area, and you don't even really notice most of the time. I will put an asterisk on that. When the F-18 fighter jets come in, you most definitely notice that they are here. They are extremely loud. They will do a few fly passes and such. Everyone looks up, oohs and ahs, and then they're gone again. They come on average every couple weeks, maybe even every month. So not very often. They're here for the morning when they land, and then they take off during the day. That's it. And so for the most part, you just have these really large gray planes that fly around. They do tactical maneuvers, different things. I would say the majority are not bothered by it. Now, depending on where you live. So I have a lot of knowledge of where that airfield is and where the planes tend to fly. So if you have questions as you're looking in different areas, that's a good question to ask, but be aware there most definitely are planes in this area. The second thing that you're going to want to be aware of is the noise from either trains or Highway 401. When we look at Trenton, I say Trenton because really it's Quinte West as a whole, but Trenton is the most populated area in Quinte West. You have Highway 401 to the north, and then you go down heading south, and you've got one set of train tracks. Then you go into town, you've got another set of train tracks, and then you really have the lake, the Bay of Quinte. And so it's really hard to avoid those depending on where you want to live. And so it's something you really want to be aware of. There are a few spots specifically and some main roads where those trains will cross, and you will have some more delays. And once you get further away, you tend to get closer to Highway 401, which of course there's a hum to Highway 401. And so when you're looking at different areas within this town, just be aware there are trains that come and there's Highway 401. It's extremely common. The majority of people I talk to that live in the different pockets don't even notice it. I know people that live right next to Highway 401 and they don't notice it at all, and others that live right near trains. There are some new build developments that back right onto a set of tracks. And so it's something that, once again, you just want to be aware of. When you're looking around, driving around a neighborhood and you don't hear any trains, you don't even think about it. But it's something that you want to have in the back of your mind, because you know what? You may come back and they are there. And a few of those tracks are fairly active. So you'll have the Via Rail that will be going up and down, but then also many other shipping lanes as well using that. So once again, not really a negative in my opinion, because it's just part of living in a town in Ontario, but something to be aware of. The next thing you'll want to be aware of are traffic patterns. Well, we're in a small town, as I mentioned, and when I tell people about busy times, especially those that are coming from the GTA areas and such, they kind of laugh. They have a chuckle about what we consider busy, but it is something you're going to want to be aware of. So when looking at Trenton, it's divided into two sides. So you've got the Trent River that goes right up through the middle of it, and you've got Highway 401 and two bridges that cross that river. Those are how you get from the east side to the west side. And where this really matters, well, where you're working, where you're living. As I mentioned, you've got CFB Trenton, which is to the furthest side of the east. There's some housing, and then you've got everything else on the west. And as a whole, Trenton seems to be building up quite a bit more towards the west, kind of more towards the GTA. And so a lot of people working at the military base or many other areas that are kind of driving to Belleville, for instance, at certain times of the day, you've got the school buses getting out, work getting out. Those bridges can get fairly congested, and it can slow down your overall traffic. Specifically, if there's an issue, a closure on one of those bridges, well, all the traffic has to be pushed to the other one. That's when you really notice that, wow, there aren't really that many options. And then many other people just start to take Highway 401. It's not too difficult to get up on 401, go across, come right back down on the other side of the river. So as the city continues to grow, as I mentioned, more people are moving to this west side. A lot of the new developments are on the west side. And so if more of those people are working towards the east side, well, you might see a little bit more traffic on those bridges. Once again, it's not terrible, but it's something that you're going to want to be aware of. The next thing that comes up quite a bit when people are asking me about the area are, well, are there places to eat? I had mentioned in the video last year, there's not really a lot of nightlife in the area, not a lot of restaurants. Well, most people are moving to a town of under 20,000 people, aren't too concerned about the lack of nightlife. Restaurants, on the other hand, people do like to visit those. We don't have that many options in Trenton. We do have some fantastic ones that have been around, and even since last year, there actually have been a few more restaurants that have opened. Some great options with patios that they put outside that, from what I've noted, are quite busy. And so the options are growing within Trenton. But I will say, if you're wanting more, Belleville. Belleville is right down the road. You're 10, 15 minutes drive. They have that many more restaurants. And so, well, this town will continue to get more options. You've already got more options right down the road. The other thing about Trenton is, well, it's not a destination. Many times you go to these areas because they're known for something specifically. Trenton really isn't that area. To be honest, I would say Trenton is how people get to the destinations. Specifically, you've got all the provincial parks, Prince Edward County. Well, when people are coming from the GTA, they drive through Trenton to get to those destinations. And honestly, I think a lot of people in this area, in this city, they enjoy that because it's not so overwhelmingly busy during the summertime. We still get tourism and such. The downtown and the waterfront is great, but many people are wanting to get to the sandbanks, wanting to get the wineries down in the county, and it can get crazy busy during the summer. Check out another video I have specifically on that. But Trenton, it's not a destination town. It's not the place where you're going to say, hey, this is where you come to see insert here. I'd say, if anything, many people know it from Canadian Forces Base Trenton. It's where you come to see the planes. That's the largest part. Now, a sub point to that is there aren't a lot of hotel options. There are a few hotels right as you exit Highway 401. They've actually recently done a lot of work on those and updated them. So those are great options. There aren't a lot of Airbnbs specifically in Trenton either, because historically we just haven't needed them. That being said, things are growing. Things are happening here. And as I said, people are going to those touristy destinations and they're looking to stay in Trenton. So You might find it difficult at times, depending on the season, to find spaces in hotels. But as I mentioned with restaurants, you've got Belleville just down the road. Belleville has actually continued to work on a few hotels. They've got a lot of great brand new spaces there, and many people utilize that when they're coming to visit this area. They just stay over in Belleville and they make the drive 10-15 minutes. The next thing that comes up quite often when people are looking to relocate specifically to Trenton is they ask me about the shopping options. This is a smaller town, so they're hesitant. I will say Trenton has pretty much everything that you need. And so from a shopping perspective, you could get everything directly within Trenton and not have to go anywhere. In my perspective, we've got the hardware stores, we've got multiple places to get groceries. It has most things covered. But if you're the type of person that wants to be able to go to, your Winners, HomeSense, go to the mall, then we don't have those big box stores here. That's where you end up going over to Belleville. It kind of the way that it works in this stretch of the Highway 401 is you've got the smaller area of Brighton, which doesn't have too much shopping at all. So everyone in Brighton tends to make their way over to Trenton to get a lot of what they need. And then people in Trenton tend to make their way over to Belleville just to get everything. And so most things are covered in Belleville that you could think of needing. The only thing that all these places lack is a Costco. I've got no news on that. I don't know when we're getting one in this area. I'll put an update up when we do, but for now, all the other shopping is covered in this area. And finally, as I mentioned, if you came from another video, you noticed I talked about a smell in Trenton. Many people ask me about this because that's a big turnoff. You're going to be living here, especially those that are going to be retiring here. They're not wanting to live somewhere where they have a smell every day. Well, the big update is that the factory, there was one specifically that kind of produced a lot of that smell, they have closed. This is kind of a bittersweet subject here because there were a lot of jobs that were lost because of that factory closing. But this smell, it's not here anymore. Specifically, I've lived here, I've been waiting throughout the summer, and I can confirm it doesn't smell anymore. Now, I talk about the growth of this area. Well, we're really hopeful that we're bringing more business and all those jobs will get replaced. And we're getting a lot more interest in this area because of where we're on the Highway 401. And so that's something, if you have watched that video or you've heard from people that have lived here or come through the area about the smell, well, it's 2024 and I can officially update you that it no longer smells in this area. And that's it. Those are some of the main things that people ask me when they're coming and thinking about moving to Trenton specifically. As I said, my name is Jeremy Tremblay. I really appreciate you checking out this video. If you have questions and you're still thinking about relocating, definitely reach out. My information down below. Send me an email, send me a text, give me a call. Check out my other videos. I've done a lot of videos that kind of break down the different communities around Belleville in this area. Very helpful. And finally, if you've gotten anything out of this video, I would really appreciate it if you could hit that little thumbs up button. That would really help me a lot. Until next time.